Can you make it full screen? Okay, thank you. Okay, then. Hello, everyone. Hello, guys. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Rohit, Sai Teja, Sahil, Tanvi, Kandan, Anshuman. Good evening, Naveen. Welcome back, buddy. Good evening, Sukanya, Godwin, Tamanna. Good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. And I welcome you all to this day 2 of HTML and CSS Essentials. Okay. So, good evening, guys. Good evening, Utpal. Welcome back. So, good evening, everyone. And I hope you guys are as excited as me for this session, because today we are going to be talk about, like, we'll basically start talking about CSS, and we'll see what it does and how to use it. Right? Yesterday I discussed, right, that HTML is only going to create the content for you. We need something else if we want to align our elements, basically make them look good, give them alignment, give them sizing, all that stuff. So for that, we need CSS, and today we are starting with it. Okay. So I hope you guys are excited, everyone. So let's get started. So yesterday, first of all, let's just revise it in like 1 minute. Yesterday, we talked about HTML. We understood what exactly HTML is. So HTML was nothing but hypertext markup language, which we use to create web pages and create content on it, like images, audios, videos, text, and a lot of stuff. We saw how to create a web page. We also saw how to create few of them, few of the contents, not exactly everything, but few of them, right? And today we are going to be starting with CSS. We'll see how to write it and how to achieve a proper designing. We are right now just creating content, and just the content is just going in a normal flow, just one below each other. Nothing is looking very great. It's just content is there. Okay, fine. I can see a video, I can see a audio, I can see an image. But what about giving these things height, width, adjusting all of it, making something like Flipkart, making something like Apple, making our site look good? How can I do that? So for that purpose only, guys, today we are starting with something called as CSS, which is again a language. So just like HTML, guys, CSS is again a language that stands for Cascading Style Sheet. Just like HTML is a markup language, CSS is a styling language. This language is basically used to perform styling, and almost every time you'll find this language working with HTML, because as this is a styling language, right? So it needs something to style. It cannot style like anything randomly. It needs something to style. So CSS basically works with HTML elements to style them. And when I say style them, that basically means giving them size, giving them alignment, giving them color, giving them shape, and arranging them. That's what styling means, to make them look good. So CSS is a language. CSS is a styling language. The full form is Cascading Style Sheet, and it mostly works with HTML and its elements to give them styling like alignment, adjustment, height, width, and all that stuff to make them look good. That's it. That's all what CSS does. And it is again one of the most easiest languages to learn. Okay. So guys, first of all, don't panic if you have never heard of it. It's very, very easy. Okay, guys. So let's go. So first of all, how to write CSS. Okay, so guys, understand that CSS is always written in a property value format. So in CSS, we have tons of properties, thousands of properties that we can apply on elements. We can apply on any HTML element and change their features. So for example, CSS might have a property called as, so how to write it basically? So first we write property, colon, value, and then semicolon. This is the basic syntax of writing a CSS. So guys, understand CSS has tons of properties that do different thing. And to write any property, you have to write property colon value. This is the basic syntax of CSS. Okay, this is the basic syntax of CSS. Property colon value. Like for example, if I want to give an example, let's say height is a property. 200 pixel can be a value. If color is a property, then red is a value. If let's say font size is a property, right? And again, some measurement can be a value. It's like that. That's how CSS is written. Now, don't worry, guys. I'm also going to talk about, if you guys know internal, inline, external, don't worry. I'm going to talk about that. But first of all, understand that CSS is always written like this in terms of property colon value. And just like these are some examples, guys, of CSS properties. But there are tons of CSS properties like this: height, color, width, background color, background position, different properties doing different things. And what we have to learn is, what do these properties do, and depending on our use, how to apply these properties on a particular HTML element. This is what we have to learn, guys. So again, CSS is a styling language which is basically used to work with HTML to style all the HTML elements. It is always written in property value format, and CSS has tons of properties, and we have to learn which property can do what, and depending on that we have to start applying any property to any HTML element. That's it. That is what CSS does. Okay, everyone. So that was the quick basic introduction of CSS. And now we're going to be learning how to actually start applying CSS onto elements. So guys, there are basically three ways. There are three ways by which you can apply CSS onto your HTML elements. There are three ways in which you can tell your elements to use some CSS. And those three ways actually have name. So let me mention it quickly, and then I'll show you all the three ways one by one. Okay. So the first way is the inline way. It is also called as inline CSS. Then the next way is the internal way or the internal CSS. And the last, and I think the most used way, is the external way, or also called as external CSS. So these are the three ways by which we can apply CSS onto our elements. But understand, guys, never forget that CSS will always be written in this format. No matter are you writing inline way, no matter if you're writing internal way, no matter if you're writing external way, it will be always property value, property value, property value. Okay? But we have to understand how to tell these property values to get applied on HTML elements. And these are the three ways. Is that clear, guys? I hope the intro of CSS is cleared, everyone. Just give me a quick answer. Give me a quick yes, everyone. Guys, so CSS as a language, it's a styling language. It has nothing but properties and values. Okay, styling properties which can do something, and we have to apply it on HTML elements to make our HTML elements look good. And these are the three ways by which we can do it. Okay, so then let's go and let's start with the first one, that is inline. Okay, guys, let's go. So now you can see it is the exact same page that we created yesterday. Let me just zoom it a little bit. So you can see your first paragraph, your second paragraph, we have image tag, we have the video and audio, everything, right? And you can also see the output, a very simple, clean output. Okay. Now then, let's say I want to apply some CSS on my first paragraph element. Okay, I want to apply some CSS on my first paragraph element. Okay, guys. So that's the thing I want to do. And I want to use this way, the inline way. So how to do it? Very simple. So guys, in HTML, you actually have an attribute, a property called as style. Just like your image tag has a src attribute, all the tags that we have a style attribute. and inside this area now you are good to write CSS. That's it. Just to go to any tag and just apply the style attribute, and inside that you are good to do anything, any kind of CSS. You can write any CSS property now. For example, let me show you. Let me write a CSS property called as font family. See, all the hints are coming. So font family, let me just write one of my favorite fonts, Cjo UI. Okay, see the logic, guys. As I mentioned, property colon value and semicolon. If you see this, see, property is font family, colon, value is Cjo UI, and semicolon. Exact same thing. Save it. Let's go. Let's see if it is changing, guys. Focus on the first paragraph. See now, everyone, the font is changed. That's how simple it is. If I want to change the text color, very simple. The property that we have. So guys, you can actually continue writing properties. So after semicolon, you can write one more property and you can just continue properties like this. So let's say I just go and write color. It is a property that changes text color or font color. So color, let's say red. I know it's not good, but again, for now it's fine. Just to check, right? So color red. So again, see guys, property colon value semicolon, and then I can continue with the next property. Save it. Never forget, guys. And here we go. Just like that. That's how simple inline CSS is. And now, if you know all the CSS properties, you can just continue. You can just simply go ahead and continue with all the properties, font size, different things. It's totally up to you now. Okay, but again, don't worry, we have to learn how many CSS properties are there, what do they do. Yes, no need of comma. We don't need comma here. We don't need comma, Utpal. If you're writing inline in React, there you might need comma because there it goes in the object way. Here you don't need comma. You can simply go ahead normally. Okay, so guys, just like that. And don't worry, we are yet to learn all the properties. Right now I'm just showing you the way of how to apply CSS. Okay, like for example, let's say we go to this one. Okay, see this P. Again, let's go. Style. Let's say I give this a property of background color. And background color, I give it, let's say, sky blue, something like that. Save it. And here we go. See that? Now that paragraph tag has a background color. So color is for text. Background color is for the background. So now I can see that paragraph is having a background color of blue. Is that clear, everyone? So Darshan is asking how to find different properties of each tag. That is, see, now there are two cases. Our editor will definitely help us in that. But throughout we are learning CSS, like over the time when you learn a lot of CSS, actually you will remember this, that which properties you can apply on which elements. For example, we cannot apply a color property on image because image doesn't have text. So that's how you'll understand. Slowly with experience, you'll understand which properties I can apply where and which properties I can avoid for a particular element. So that comes over time. But again, the editor also helps you. But it's more of an experience. Slowly, while practicing CSS, doing things, you'll understand which properties I can apply, which properties I cannot. Okay, guys? So that's the way of applying inline CSS, everyone. Just going in the tag, writing the style property or attribute, and simply start writing CSS. That is inline CSS, guys. Okay? But now, there is a disadvantage to inline CSS. There is a simple disadvantage to inline CSS. But let me answer the question. So, do we need to memorize each and every property of CSS or make cheat sheet? I think, see again, Vedant, it's like the more you practice, you will memorize it. Like now, like today, if you ask me, I remember around 100 to 120 properties of CSS. Maybe. I don't know if that we have that much, but I can say that around 70 to 80 properties I know. That's because of the experience and the practice. So even though if you create cheat sheet, you will not go again and again and refer cheat sheet while creating anything, right? You will eventually start remembering these things, but it will come with practice over time. Okay, so maybe in next 1 month, 2 month, while you're continuously practicing CSS, making stuff, you'll start remembering things, right? So that's how it works. So you can definitely make a cheat sheet, but I think that's a secondary thing. Once you start practicing, your mind will automatically start remembering everything. So that's the best thing. Okay, cool. So now guys, let's move ahead and let's discuss about the disadvantage of inline CSS. Okay, so guys, the disadvantage is, what if I have one more p tag? Okay. Now let's say it also has some text. Now what I want to do is whatever CSS I applied onto this paragraph, I also want to apply on this paragraph. Whatever CSS I applied on this paragraph, I also want to apply it to this paragraph. What can I do? I can just go ahead and copy this whole thing and paste it here. It looks simple, but the problem is we are rewriting the code, and it will become very complicated if I have thousands of P's or hundreds of P's, or if I have like many elements which I want to look similar throughout my whole page here and there. If I have, let's say, 20-30 elements here and there, and I want all of them to look same, in that case I have to rewrite the exact same CSS again and again, and that is the disadvantage of inline CSS. You write it for the tag and it will only work for that tag, and if you want the same CSS again, you have to rewrite it. You cannot use this exact same CSS again. You have to rewrite the exact same CSS. Understanding? So basically there is no reusability of CSS here. You're just writing the CSS code again, and it's fine if it is 2 properties, 3 properties, but what about if you have 10 CSS properties, 20, 30 properties applied? Then it will become tough, right? So that is one disadvantage of inline CSS, that there is no reusability. Is that clear, guys? You have to rewrite this CSS again and again, and if you want the exact same thing. And that is why we go to the next way, that is the internal CSS way of applying CSS to HTML elements. So guys, should we see it? Understood the disadvantage, everyone? So now let's go and let's talk about how to start writing internal CSS. Okay. So let me remove all these styles first. Remove all of this. So again, back to normal, no CSS applied. That's fine. Let's just confirm it once. Yep, you can see no CSS. Can we use more colors on a same line or same sentence? Then you have to distinguish tags there. You have to create different tags. There is a technique for that as well, but if you normally want to do it, you have to use different tags. So create one paragraph, then inside that give 3-4 different tags so that you can apply CSS. Okay. Now guys, let's go. Let's go and let's see what is the internal way of applying CSS. So guys, first of all, if you want to start writing internal CSS, first of all, okay, let me remove this header. Okay, go in your head tag. Okay, and inside your head tag, after your title and link, you can write a style tag. Very important. Okay, without this, it will not work. So style tag. And now this is the area where you can start writing CSS. This is the area where you can start writing CSS. Now this is CSS area. You are never going to write HTML here. But now the problem. Okay, fine. If I just go ahead and write CSS, will it work? Like for example, color red. Will it work? No, because now I'm writing CSS somewhere else and my HTML elements are somewhere else, right? Previously, I was using style directly in the tag. So the CSS knew that I have to work with this tag. But now I'm writing my CSS somewhere else and my HTML elements are somewhere else. So that's the problem. So how will I tell my CSS properties that you have to get applied to the P tag or the image tag or the H1 tag? How will I tell them? And for that, guys, we are going to be learning about the concept of selectors. Now, here's the new concept of selectors. So what you have to do is, whatever CSS you're going to write, you have to tell it which element you want, like on which element you want to apply that CSS. And for that, you have to select that element by using something called a selector. Selector, as the name says, guys, it's nothing but a way of selecting elements where you want to apply CSS. So for example, let me give you an example. You'll understand it very easy. Let's say I want to apply CSS on the P element. So to select a P element, you just have to mention this P. That's it. That's all. That's how you select a P element, by just using its tag name. Okay. Let me answer a question, guys. I'm confused by div tags, everyone. Don't worry. I'll tell you what div tags are in some time. Once we understood the basic CSS, I'll tell you guys the header, footer, section, div, what are they and how to use them. Don't worry. Okay. So guys, let's go. So just write the P tag. So now in this case, you are selecting the P element with the help of the tag name. That's it. That's what you have to write. And then you just have to write curly braces and then write whatever CSS you want. For example, color red. Now this CSS will be applied to all the P elements that you have in your document. Let's see what is happening, guys. Save it. And here we go. See, all the P elements are red now. Amazing. See, now I wrote CSS only once and it is getting applied to all the P elements. That's what I wanted, right? I don't want to write CSS again and again. Guys, understanding or not? Everyone? Let me also give font family. That's how a basic selector works. Okay, fine. This is cool, easy. Okay, fine. Now I can select any element using its tag name. Okay, like if I want to select the image element, I can just go ahead and write img tag and just apply CSS on it as well. So guys, you can select any element with its tag name, but understand that whatever tag name you're writing, it will select all the elements with the same tag name. That means if I write P, it will select all the P's. If I write image, it will select all the image in your document. Now then the problem again, we have a new problem. Fine, reusability problem gone, but now we have a new problem. What if to this third P tag, I want to give a different size? New problem, guys. What if to this third P tag, I want to give a different size? Fine, I want the same color, I want the same font family, but a different size. But if I write the size logic here, it will be applied to all the P tags. So can I differentiate? Yes, you can. For that, you have to give a kind of a nickname or a different name. Just like, guys, see, in the same logic, in your college, you also have name, but you also have roll number. You also have class name. Why? Because your name can be same. So to uniquely identify you, the college gives you an ID. The college gives you a class so that they can easily identify you because your name can be same as hundreds of people. Just like that, guys, here also you can give them different identifiers or different selectors. And to give that, there's an attribute. Now the first extra name or a different name that you can give to an element is by using the class attribute. Okay, so you can give a class to any element and then you can use that class to select a particular element. So let's use it, guys. Let's give it a class of para 3. You can give your own name now. It's totally up to you. Anything. Just remember, guys, don't start it with a number. It might cause a problem in future. Okay, so always start with a text and you can in between you can have numbers, at the end you can have numbers. It can be any name. Okay, so class, I'm giving it a name of para 3. It's not fixed, guys, it's my name. I can give it anything. I can also write my name there. Now then, this particular element can be selected via two ways now. One way is by using the tag name and the other way is by using the class name. So I have given it a class name of para 3. So let's see now how can I select this element using the class name. Let's see. So whenever you want to select an element using class name, never forget you have to mention dot. By this dot only, the CSS understands that you're selecting elements using class name. And then the actual class name, para 3. That's it. Now you can just go ahead and write font size, let's say 20 pixel. Now guys, see, this third paragraph is also having P, is also having para 3. That means it can be called via two names. So now this element will take color and font family from this and font size from this. Let's save it and see if it is actually happening. And here we go. See that? The font family and color is still same, but the size is different. And that is what I did with the class name. So I give it an extra name and I also selected my element with that extra name. That's how class works, guys. Is that clear, everyone? That's how class works. And the best part about classes is you can repeat them. You can give the same class to multiple elements. That's the best part about classes. I can also give the exact same class to one more element. It will be also applied there. You can also give same class to multiple elements. So guys, it's nothing but one more name that you're giving to your element so that you can select it or identify it other than the tag name. Cleared, everyone? Guys, are we cleared? Sudarshan is asking, can you please repeat? What do you want me to repeat, Sudarshan? Can you please tell me? See, so basically I said that when you write tag name, it selects all the tag with that name. Okay, guys, I'm repeating, focus everyone. So when you write tag name, when you select an element using tag name, you might have hundreds of elements with the same tag name. But what if to some of the elements you want to write some different CSS? But if you write P, it will select all the P's. That's what I mentioned, right? See, let me comment this. If I write P, color red and font family CJO UI, what did I mention? That all of them are P's. So all of them are having same CSS. But what if I want to apply a little different CSS to this element? How can I do it, Sudarshan? Think now. How can I do it? Is there any other way? Because whatever I will write in P, it will get applied to all these three elements always. So that's why I gave it one more name so that I can select it with that name uniquely. Understood? Just like in our college, guys, just like in your college, Sudarshan, there can be multiple Sudarshans. So to identify you uniquely, easily, they give you a ID, they give you a different class, right? Just like that. So I gave it one more name. Now then, I can select this element via its tag name or also via its class name. Okay, cleared, everyone? And you can repeat the same class name multiple times to apply same CSS. Is it cleared, everyone? Okay. Now there is one more way of giving an extra name, guys. There is one more way of giving an extra name, that is with the help of the ID attribute. You can also give IDs to your elements. So let me call it P2. You can again give anything here. It's fine. Okay. And you can also apply CSS using the ID. So now, guys, you can apply CSS using the tag name. You can apply or select elements using the class name, or you can also apply or select elements using the ID. Now let's select an element using the ID. So let's try to change, what do you say, font size of this using its ID. Let's go. So guys, again, if you want to select the element via its ID, just like to select the element via its class, you have to use dot. To select the element via its ID, you have to use hash. Always remember. So whenever you're selecting an element with class name, dot. Whenever you're selecting element with ID, hash. Never forget this. Okay? Never forget this. So hash, what ID did I give to it? P2. So let's go. P2. And I can just give anything like font weight of bold, something like that. Let's see. Save it. And see that, guys? Becoming bold. Okay? Now, you might ask, sir, why do we have two ways? Like, why do we have class and ID both? If class can work perfectly, why do we have ID? So understand, guys, as I mentioned, classes can be repeated. Classes can be repeated. ID can never be repeated. ID is created in HTML to identify an element uniquely. So once you give a ID to any element, you cannot repeat that ID. That is why while applying CSS, you should try to avoid IDs. Work with class names and tag names only. Avoid IDs. Understanding? But again, if you want, you can use it. But remember that never use this P2 ID again to any other element. Never give this P2 ID again to any other element. Is that cleared, everyone? You should never do it. Okay? So your output will come, definitely. But according to W3C standards, it's a wrong thing. They will consider your site malfunctioned and wrong if you do it. It's an error according to W3C. Okay? ID can be repeated on the same web page. No, you cannot. You should never repeat an ID. You should never. Once you give ID to an element, don't repeat it. If you apply it, it will work, guys. Because HTML will not give you any error. But according to W3C, it's an error. Okay? So please don't forget that. Because ID is made to identify an element uniquely. That's why it's a rule. Is it cleared, guys? So classes you can repeat. Once you give a class, you can repeat it to multiple elements. But once you give an ID, you cannot never repeat this exact same ID to anything else. Like I cannot go ahead and give the exact same ID to any other element. If I give like this, when I validate my code, it will give me error that you are repeating P2 ID twice. So don't do this. Okay, never do it. Never. Can I do this p dot para3 to select the CSS style? Yeah, it's totally fine. It means the exact same thing. If I write just para3 and if I write p dot para3, what is the difference? I'll tell you. In this case, you're mentioning that select the element with the class of para3, which is a p element. That's the meaning of it. Is it clear, Naveen? That's the meaning. So basically, you're mentioning that select the para3, select the element which is having a class of para3, and it should be a p element. That's what you're mentioning there. Okay, cool. So guys, I really hope the basic concept of selectors is cleared. So now understand, you can select the element using tag name, you can select the element using class name, you can select the element using ID. Okay. Problem with ID, you can never repeat it. And a lot of times in CSS, you want to repeat your CSS. So actually avoid ID. Try to avoid IDs. While CSS guys, try to avoid IDs. And if you see someone using IDs a lot, tell them that there's a better approach. So always try to use tag names and class names as much as you can while working with CSS. Avoid IDs. Okay, cool. Francis is asking, what about P and then this symbol, right? Greater than and para 3. That means select all the elements which are having a class of para 3, which are inside P. That's a parent child, what do you say, combinator. So if you mention this means select all the elements which are having a class of para 3, but they should be inside the P element. How can we remember font names? You don't have to. Like, for example, see in my case, again, see, everyone who is asking like how to remember these, don't worry, guys. Like, how do you remember all your friends' names? You didn't learn it, right? It came over time. Your mind adjusted it over time. It is the exact same thing. You just have to keep practicing. Slowly, your brain will adjust and remember everything. You don't have to force yourself to remember, or you don't have to read every day. Okay, there is a font called CJUI, there's a font called Helvetica, there is a font called Arial. You don't have to. Slowly start using it, slowly start putting fonts, and it will, your brain will automatically start remembering everything. You don't have to worry about it. Okay. ID value will be only numbers? No, it's not like that. You don't have to pass numbers. See, I passed P2. I can also pass para. That's fine. It can be anything. Not only numbers. Okay, it is not only numbers. Fine, it can be a normal text as well. Okay, guys. So that's how you write inline CSS. Okay, guys. I hope everyone is cleared. And now then, after this, let's talk about guys. Okay, did I change the ID or what? Yes, I changed it. Okay, let me just mention it here. Para. Okay. Now, guys, let's talk about the last way that we have. That is the external way. And the best part is in this case, we don't have to worry too much because internal and external are almost like 95% similar. The ways are exactly similar. The place of writing it is different. Okay. So now, guys, focus. Internal CSS basically means what? It means when you write CSS in the same page as your HTML page. So when you write CSS in the HTML page only, that is what it means by internal CSS. You're writing CSS internally. You're writing CSS in the HTML page only. And then you have something called as external CSS, where you actually create a separate dedicated file for CSS, where we can only write CSS. That's all. So let's do that. Can we keep ID name and class name same? Yes, that's fine, Ashirwad. That's fine. That's totally fine. Because one is ID and one is class, right? That's fine. Okay. Like it's like avocado is a fruit. I can also name my mobile phone avocado. That's fine. Because both are two different things. Okay. That was a lame example. I'm so sorry. But I think you understood it. Right? Ashirwad? Cool. Fine, guys. Let's move ahead and let's try to write CSS externally. And as I said, it is exactly same as internal, but it's just we don't write it in the same page as HTML. we write it in a separate dedicated file. So let's do it, guys. So let's go ahead and let's create a new file, and you can call it anything. So let me call it index, but don't forget, guys, now the extension of this file should be .css. Okay, because it's a completely dedicated CSS file. Now you can never write HTML here. You should never write HTML here. Now the way you write CSS, it's exactly similar, just like this. So I can just copy this whole CSS part and remove it from here and paste it here. And don't forget, guys, that you don't have to write style tag here. You wrote style tag here because you are mentioning that I'm writing CSS. Here this page itself is saying I am a CSS file. So no need to mention style tag. Just write your CSS normally. Same thing, selectors and all. So that's why I said, guys, internal and external are 95% same. Selectors and CSS, it is the exact same thing. The only difference is internal CSS is written inside HTML page. External CSS is written separately in a separate CSS file. But now the problem is, once you write CSS in a separate file, okay, how will the HTML file know from where to pick my CSS? That's the problem, because now your CSS code is in some other file. So now, guys, we have to learn how to connect these two files so that my HTML file can know that this is my CSS file. I have to pick my data from here. Understandable? So we have to link both the files. So let's go ahead and link them. And for that, again, guys, we are going to be using the link tag, the same tag that we used to put this icon here, right? Link tag, and again, relation. Now, yesterday, guys, see, yesterday, come on, go away sidebar. Yesterday, you were linking an icon. So the relation was icon. Today, you're linking a CSS file. That's why in relation, you have to mention style sheet. Whatever I'm linking, it's going to be my style sheet. That means I'm going to consider it as my CSS file, style sheet. Okay, style code, whatever you would like to call it. But here you have to mention style sheet only. And then href, here simply you have to put the file path. So dot slash index.css, and that's it. That's it. That's how you link it. Link relation style sheet href the file path. Save it and let's see. Started working. So as I said, guys, exactly similar to internal. Code wise, there is no change. It's just internal, we write it in the same page as HTML. External, we write it in a different page. That's all. Sir, which one is good to do, internal, external? Now see, Omshi, it's like, first of all, in this, nothing is good or bad. It's just like, first of all, it depends on preference. Second, it depends on the number of lines of code. For example, if you write your CSS in the same page as HTML, there is one problem that can arise. That is, if your CSS code goes, let's say, beyond 500, 600 lines, and let's say your HTML is also very big, so you have to continuously scroll up and down, up and down, up and down. So the management of code will become tougher. Understanding? And you cannot use the same CSS for any other file because it is present inside your HTML file. That's one more issue. That's why when you have a large code, when you feel like, okay, fine, you're gonna be having a large CSS code, prefer external. It will be very easier to maintain and read. Understood? Okay. So if it is only a small code and it is only going to be used at one place, go for internal. If it is a big code like more than 100 200 lines, and so go for external in that case, because if your CSS line is bigger, if you have more lines of code, then it will become very tough. Okay, guys? Or if working in a team of developers, we need exactly, Naveen, exactly, so that you can share it properly. So yeah, so it completely depends on what is the situation and how you're doing it. Yes, that's great, Hitesh. That's great. That's great. Okay, yeah, so, like some people continuously prefer externals. That's also fine. Even I prefer external a lot. Only if I feel someday that okay, fine, there is no need, I don't create external file. Otherwise, I also prefer external only, always. So, guys, these were the three ways of applying CSS, and you saw that till now everything is just property value only. It's just the way of applying changes. So one was inline, which was using the style attributes. One was internal, which was basically putting the CSS in the same HTML page, and there we use selectors, and one was external, where we have a separate CSS file, but the same logic of selectors. So I hope we are cleared, guys. I hope we are cleared with this on how to apply CSS. Now, today and tomorrow, we'll be learning a lot of CSS properties, because now we know how to apply it. Now, our main task is to learn what are the CSS properties, because we have only seen color, font family. What about all the other properties? What they can do? Okay. So, guys, let's start talking about one of the very important things in HTML while designing your page. Okay. Like, for example, see, yesterday I talked about a lot of different contents, right? Inline has highest precedence over internal. Yes, inline has the highest precedence. Yes. Why? Because it is directly embedded inside your tag, right? That's why. Akshay. Okay. Now, guys, yesterday I talked about that HTML is a language. Okay. And by using that, you create different types of content or components in your page. Like I mentioned, images, audios, videos, text, etc., etc. Right? But I didn't mention one important thing. Now let's talk about that. Let's go to a site like flipkart.com. Okay. Now let's talk, guys. Let's talk. Fine. I understand this, that this is input, an input field. I understand it's a text. I understand it's a button. I understand all of these are text and images. But then, what is this blue bar? What is this white bar here? Who is creating them? What is this box? How is this box getting created? Right? So the only content that we have is not this images, audio, video, text, and all that. We also have containers. We also have something called as container elements available, which basically create boxes. According to design, they basically create boxes for you. That's it. They basically create what, guys? Boxes, sections, divisions for you. That's it. You can give them height, width, background. It's like, see this blue bar? It's nothing but a box. You created it to make a separate section in your page so that people can understand that it's your header, like that. Go to any site, you will see these boxes. These boxes are the basic building block. These boxes are the most important and the basic building block of your web pages, because your image, text, audio, video are just normal contents. If you want to arrange them properly, if you want to contain them, if you want to give them proper alignment, you have to use these container boxes, guys. Understandable, everyone? So we have a lot of different types of container elements available, which at the end make boxes for you. But these boxes are very important for us. Okay, this will help you in layouting your site, making them look good, dividing your site properly in components and containers. Okay, go to, let's say, for example, apple.com, something like that. So here also you have a first black box in which you have navigation, then you have a second gray box, then you have third box as well in which you have text and image, fourth box, fifth box in which they are playing a video. So the whole site is actually divided into boxes. The whole site. See this footer? This is my content, but this is the box. So the whole site is actually divided into boxes. Okay. So now then, let's actually, now don't call them boxes, guys. Call them container elements. So now let's try to understand, guys, what, how to create these containers and how many different tags we have. As I mentioned, guys, everything that you do is going to be done with a tag. Even if you want to create a video, you need a tag for it. Just like that, even if you want to create a box or a container, there is a tag for it. But actually, we have quite a lot of tags, not only one tag. We have quite a lot of tags. Let me mention those tags first. So to create containers, guys, or to create boxes, we have around 6 to 7 tags, like header tag, like footer tag, we have main tag, we have section tag, we have div tag. These are few examples of them. Okay. And guys, don't get surprised. At the end, all of them create boxes. All of them just give the exact same output. Let me show you then. So let's go, guys. Let's remove all this HTML. I hope I can do it now. let's remove all this HTML. I'll tell you difference, don't worry. That's why I mentioned all of them. So let's remove, guys. Let's make it again blank normal HTML page. Fine. Completely cool, good looking white page. The best site that you can ever get. Let's also remove the whole CSS part from here. Yes, exactly. Aside, article. These are few more examples. So I have just mentioned few of them. Don't worry, guys. I have not mentioned everything. Okay. So here we go, guys. Normal, simple, plain CSS, and this file is linked. So let's create few boxes. Let me show you guys. So let's create something called as the header tag. Okay. And you can see by default, it doesn't have any output. So these container elements by default don't have any output. You have to style them. So let's go ahead. Let's give it a class of header only. Okay. Now let's go here and apply CSS. Dot header. Give it a height of 300 pixels. Give it a width of 300 pixels. And give it a background color of red. Here we go. Box. Now then, let's also use a div tag that we learned. Div. Give it a class of division, something like that. Let's see, is it doing something extra or something different? Dot division. Height 300. Width 300. Background color, not this. Background color blue. Okay, let's see. Anything different, guys? Exact same. Use a section tag. Class of, let's say, section, right? Yes, Naveen, for your question, yes, all the container elements are block level elements. Yes. So, guys, what I wanted to prove here is never feel that they are doing anything else. They are just creating boxes, and you are the one to decide what to give as height, what to give as width, and what to give as color. So now my question is, or it might be your question actually, then why do we have different tags? Like one tag should be enough, right? Fine, there is only one div, that's enough. That should be enough. Because if I'm creating the same thing again and again, and if all of them give same output, why do I need different tags? So yes, till HTML4, this was the case. We only had one thing called as div mostly, and that's what people used to use. I don't know if we have any different thing that time because I started my journey with HTML5 only, but I can assure you that people only used div back then. Only div, that's it. So, but so what was the problem then? Right? What was the problem if everything is creating boxes? So what is the problem by only having only one tag? What is the problem? So the problem is, guys, the naming convention in your code. The naming convention in your code. In your code, if you use div continuously for literally everything, because you might be creating thousands of containers in a single site, and if div is everywhere, it will become very, very confusing to read. Not only for you, for the browsers as well, for the search engines as well. Not only I'm not only talking about humans, guys. It will be tough for us, definitely, but we can manage it. But for search engines, for browsers to understand what content is important, what content is not important, it will be very, very tough. Yes, Hitesh, we definitely have classes. We definitely have classes. We can, that's what I said. For humans, it's possible. But for browsers and search engines to understand the importance of the containers, it will be tough. And that's why HTML introduced all these different tags. So now what it says is, if you want to create a box for the header section like this, don't use a div, use header tag. I know it's going to do the same thing, but don't use div, use headers, so that the search engine and the browser can easily understand that this is the header part and they can pick proper content from it. If you're creating a section like, okay, product section, don't use a div, use a section tag. For every meaningful container, use a section tag. For every footer, use a footer tag. That's what they suggest. Then your site will become much more readable for the search engines, for the browsers, to understand the importance of containers, to understand the importance, so that if anyone goes on Google and any search engine and searches for something, they can directly redirect them to proper containers, proper boxes. Understood, guys? So these are nothing but exactly, Naveen, semantics. These are semantic tags that we should actually follow. So output wise, they are all boxes, but naming wise, they all have importance. So use header tag to create your header, use footer tag to create your footer. For your main area, use the main tag, and for any meaningful section like products, services, about us, use section tag. And then finally you have div, which you should use when it's completely meaningless. You just want to create a box, it doesn't hold any meaning, create a div. So for smaller containers, you can always go for divs. For smaller parts, for smaller sections, you can always go for divs. Like for example, see in this case, if I go to Flipkart, see this, guys, see this. This will be a section, this whole first square or rectangle, sorry. It's a section. The section might be deals of the day because it's important. Now these things are all my products for deals of the day. Section was important, but all these are also packed inside a container. So for them, it might be small, small divs. A div for this product, a div for this product, a div for this product, a div for this product. But this whole thing is a section. This is header. At the end, this whole thing is your footer. And all of these are different sections, meaningful sections. So guys, understood? Everyone, are we cleared with all these things, guys? All settled, guys? Please tell me. Hopefully. Okay, perfect. Now then, let's talk about one of the most important things in web designing that a lot of people are always confused in, or they don't completely understand it. And a lot of people also understand it, don't worry, but I have seen a lot of people that are confused in these cases. So let's go and let's talk about that as well. Okay, so guys, see, first of all, I told you, right, whatever I create doesn't matter, they are all the exact same. So for now, for just understanding, let's only use div for some time. Let's only use div for some time. Okay, so let's go guys. So remove all of this. So guys, whatever I'm doing with div, the exact same thing will happen with section, the exact same will happen, the exact same thing will happen with header. So for now, just to save time, I'm only doing what? Using div. Okay, so let's go. Div, give it a class of 1. Div, give it a class of 2. Okay guys, please focus everyone, I'm showing you something. Please focus. It is very important to understand before we move ahead and do anything. It is very important to understand, guys. Please focus. Okay guys, please. So 2 will check it afterward, but first let's work with only one div. Remove all of this now. I'll just put dot 1, height 200 pixels, width 200 pixels, and background color, let's say we give red. Okay guys, now please everyone, focus. So here we go. I have the output of my div. Okay guys, but sir, if we use div, so we can give different class names in that, like div. Yes Priyanka, that's fine. As I mentioned, right, for humans it's fine, for us because we are the coders it's fine, but for browsers and search engine it becomes tough to read your code and find important things from that to show results. Because if you're a website developer, you definitely want Google, Yahoo, Bing to select your site, right, for any result. If you're creating an e-commerce site, if people search some products, if your site goes first in the result, it will be really good, right? So yeah, the search engines and all of these give importance to your sites by reading your code and understanding if this all is good. That's the first important, that's the first rule of SEO. If you ever go to learn SEO, guys, the first rule is write proper code with proper names, with proper tags. That is the first rule. Okay guys, so let's go everyone, please focus on this thing now. So I have a div with a simple height of 200, width of 200, and background color red. So now guys, what I want to talk about right now is how an element takes up size on the browser. Guys, please focus. I'm talking about how an element takes up size on the browser. Okay, so you saw right now I have given it something called as height and width, but this is not the only thing that gives your element a size. This is not the only thing that gives your box a size. This is default one, okay, 200 width, 200 height. But there are few more things as well that give your element sizes. So let's talk about them, because we need to understand how your element can have size on the page. Okay. So the first thing that we have is something called as padding. Okay, of 50 pixels. So first of all, guys, what exactly is padding? Padding is nothing but an extra fake size added on top of the real size. That's what padding is, guys. An extra fake size added on top of the real size. So let me show you. If I add padding 50 pixels, see what happens, guys. The element has grown by 50 pixel from all the sides. To see this live on how this is working, do one thing, right click on it, click on inspect, and here just go towards the bottom. See here, the same code is selected. This is called as developer tools, guys. So the same element has been selected. Now just go bottom, just go at the bottom in the CSS area and see. So this is what shows you how your element is taking up size. Okay, so see, if I go to this center is, if you go to the center area, this is your real size, real height and width, and that is, see, 200 by 200. And on top of that, you have added a 50 pixel fake size all around. That is a fake size, guys. Let me prove you. Let me write some content inside it, like hello. Save it. See, your hello is not starting from start. If you can see, guys, your hello is not starting from start. It is starting from here, because that 50 pixel is the fake size. It can never have content. That's just a fake size added on top. That's it. That's what padding means. Extra fake size added. Additional fake size. That's it. Your real size is 200 by 200. That is still intact, and all the content that you will create will only go in the real size. And yes, some people also define padding as the gap between the edge and the content. But I normally don't give that, because it's not exactly gap. It looks like that, but it's padding in real world means what? Extra size. Okay. That's why I prefer to call it extra size rather than space between the content and the edge of the element. But you can call that. That's totally fine. Okay. So extra fake size, which does nothing. It's just a fake size. That's all. So this is one more way of giving size to your element. That's how your element takes size. Okay. After that, guys, you have one more thing that adds size to your element. That is something called as border. Border. So border, let's say you give 20 pixel. But the best part about border is it can at least have different color. Your padding cannot have different color. Padding is always same as the actual color. So whatever is your background color, padding will take the exact same color. But border can have different color. Okay, so border. Then you have a type of border as well. So you can mention solid. Solid means plain border. And then I can just give it black. See now, I have 20 pixel more size on top. See that? So 200, 50 pixel padding and 20 pixel border. But the best part about border is it can at least have different color, unlike padding. Padding cannot have different color, right? And border can have different types as well. Solid is one type, but you can also give dotted, one more type. Don't use it. It doesn't look that good, but yeah, you can give it like this. Also give dashed. So the border will be like this. But again, guys, I'm not using it. So let me just go for the solid one. Okay, fine. And now the last thing in this box model, which is very, very important to understand, is sometimes, guys, this is the property where people get confused. So focus, you'll understand definitely. Okay. The last property is margin, which is now, guys, let me tell you, exactly similar to padding. Margin is exactly similar to padding. Extra fake size. But the only difference is margin is invisible. That's it. That's it, guys. Margin is invisible. So margin is exactly similar to padding, extra fake size, but it is always invisible. Let me show you that. See, it looks like your element has moved, but no, it has not moved. I'll show you. Wait. See, 200 actual height and width, 50 padding, 20 border, and 50 margin. You can see, right, on the bottom, on the left, on the top. See that? 50 pixel extra size. But yeah, it looks like gap because it's invisible. Margin is a invisible size. Are we cleared, everyone? Guys? No, you cannot, Sudarshan. If you want to give color to the margin, then you can use padding, right? Then we don't have to use margin, right? Everyone? But now if you see, guys, there is one little problem, a very, very little problem, that on the right side, you can see the margin is going all the way to the end. The margin is going all the way to the end on the right side. On the top, it's fine. On the left, it's fine. On the bottom, it's fine. But why on the right, it's going towards the end? Because now we have to talk about some more things. Because div is a block level element. Okay, now guys, see, there are different types of elements in your HTML, but two are very famous: block elements and inline elements. These two are the most famous ones: block and inline. And div is a block element. And block element means, guys, block element basically means the right margin will always take up the whole space, whatever is left at the end, no matter what. Okay, they will never allow anything else to settle on the right side. Let me prove it to you. See, if I create one more div, let me give it a class of 2. Okay, let's go. Dot 2, height of 100 pixel, width of 100 pixel, background color of blue. Now if you see, guys, focus everyone, if you see, there is enough gap available here to settle this, right? Everyone, can we say that there is enough gap available here to settle this? But it's still not going there because your div is a block element, and by default its right margin flows towards the complete end. It will never allow anything. That's why these things are called as block elements. So any element that doesn't allow anything on the right side, anything on the available space, because it is putting its right margin towards the end, that is a block element. That's why block elements always go one below each other and never side by side, because their right margin is always going towards the end. Okay, everyone? So now you have to tell them to convert. If you really want this on the side, you have to tell it to convert. Now, guys, first of all, let's talk about the other category as well. So that is the default behavior of block elements. On the other hand, we have something called as inline elements, which behave completely different. They are always situated side by side, always, never one below each other, always side by side. But there is one more issue. There is one more issue, that inline elements can never have height and width. No, guys, one more thing. You cannot adjust this right margin. You cannot adjust right margin of block elements using the margin right property. You have to convert it. Never try to adjust block elements right margin with the margin property. Okay, if it was adjustable, who answered that? Mandeep. If it was adjustable, buddy, then margin should also consider margin right? Because margin, if I write margin, it always means left, right, top, bottom, everything, right? So if margin right was considerate, it should have been considered it, but it's not. So it is forceful, guys, because it's a block element. So you have to tell it to actually convert. But before that, guys, let's talk about the inline element. Okay, so block elements can have height and width. Okay, but they will always go one below each other. Inline elements can never have height and width, but they will always go one after each other horizontally until the screen ends. So now, if I convert this to inline, that's fine. But if I convert this to inline, then height will also go away. Everyone, height width will also go away, right? So what if I want to preserve the height width, but I want to tell them to behave like an inline element so that they also adjusted side by side? So for that, guys, you have a third type, which is like a hybrid of both of them. It's called as inline block. I want you to behave like both. Some features of inline, some features of block. So basically to change it, now by default it is block. To change it, I can just go here and write display. This is the property where you mention. This is the property where you mention what type you want, what kind of element you want this to be. So I want it to become inline block. Is it buffering? Are you sure? I can see it properly. Okay, now I think it's fine. It was buffering for a minute, I think. And that's it, guys. Just mention display inline block, and now you will see what's happening. See, guys? See the change now. See the change. See the change. See that, guys? Everyone, can you see the change now? Now it's not forcing it right margin towards the end. See that? Now it's normal. But still, why is this element not going up? Because this is still block. If you go to that, this is still block, right? See that? This is definitely still block. So I also have to tell this, fine, I also want you to become inline block. Okay. So display inline block. And here you go. Perfectly fine. Both the elements side by side. Guys, are we cleared? Everyone? Okay. And that was your box model, guys. All these properties. And guys, understand that these four are the most important properties: height, width, padding, border, margin. One of the most important properties in CSS for alignment and adjustment. So never forget these four properties. Block elements always start on a new line and take the whole width of the page. Yes, Naveen. Yes. But if you give them any width, then they will not take the whole width, but still they will try to, they will never allow anyone else to go or put any element on their side. Is it clear, Naveen? Is it cleared? How to position block 2 above block 1, like this, like cards. Are you talking about, Utpal? For that we have to use the position property. That we will definitely discuss tomorrow, not today actually. Yes, Francis, I'll definitely tell you that. So guys, Francis is asking a doubt about box sizing, so let me tell you that. So guys, there is a property called as box sizing. By default value of box sizing is content box, but you can make it border box. Now what happens if you give border box? See now, if you give box sizing border box, the padding and the border of this element will be considered as part of the height and width. See, normally now guys, see this, everyone. My element, see this guys, please focus, is having a height width of 200 plus padding of 50 plus border of 20. That means overall 270, not 270 actually, 270 plus 70, 340. But if I give this element box sizing border box, it will force my element to consider padding and border as the part of the height and width. Please consider these values of padding and border as part of that 200. See now. See then. And because of that, even though you have given 200 height, 200 width, it is considering it 60-60. Because now it is considering your border and padding as part of your height and width. So the maximum now you can, so maximum size that you can give to that element is going to be 200. That's why your height and width are reduced and padding and border are added, so that it can at the end be 200. See now, 60, 50 plus 20, 70, 50 plus 20, 70, 140 plus 60, 200. Okay. So when you give box sizing border box, it tries to adjust padding and border as a part of your height and width. So it will reduce the height and width and add padding and border to make sure that the final size is always this. Sir, please reply, can we make a GUI at the end? Yes, tomorrow we're going to make a GUI. I'll show you how to create a really beautiful, good looking site, and we'll also learn a lot of new properties. Yes. Are we cleared, everyone? Guys, are we cleared? And yes, this is what you call as border box. See this black area? This is what you call as border box. Okay. So everyone, are we cleared with the box model? This was the box model. Okay. And tomorrow we'll start using all the things that we have learned to start making a UI. And guys, see, we still have to learn a lot of things to make a UI. So tomorrow on the go, while making the UI, you will learn a lot of things. Okay, so be prepared for that, guys. Be prepared, because we have only learned basic HTML, basic CSS, and tomorrow we're going to make use of it to create an actual UI. So while creating the UI, we are going to be learning a lot of new things. So be prepared and please come with a little bit of practice tomorrow. Okay. So yep, guys, that's it for today. And guys, one more thing. Tomorrow's session is at 5 o'clock. Everyone, tomorrow's session is at 5 o'clock, and tomorrow's session will be a little longer. It will not be of 1 hour. Anyway, we don't take 1 hour usually. We always go to 1 hour 15 minutes, 1 hour 30 minutes. But tomorrow's might get a little longer. So just informing you that tomorrow's session will be starting at 5 o'clock. Okay, everyone. So please inform your friends if you're also joining. If they are also joining, 5 o'clock, everyone. 5 o'clock tomorrow. Is that clear, everyone? Kurum is asking, reply, sir. What is your doubt, Kurum? I can't see your doubt. I can only see reply, but I cannot see your doubt. Naveen is asking, what is UI? User interface. These things that you see on websites, that's what you call a UI. The design. This is what you call as a UI. Okay. This is the UI of Flipkart. The design, Naveen, the design. So if I want to learn from beginning, I'm new, where's the playlist? Just go on this channel and just search for HTML and CSS Essentials. You'll get it on the spot. And guys, again, as I'm mentioning, today is the day 2 and tomorrow will be the last day of our HTML and CSS session. And as you can see, we are only covering a part of the whole course. Okay, the whole HTML and CSS is very big. So if you want to learn more and completely from scratch and make a lot of projects with me, and not only HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Angular, and all that stuff, you can just go ahead on LetsUpgrade.in and you can just check out our programs and you can enroll to the full stack web development program. Okay, and you can just go there and see what are the things that we teach, and if you're interested, you can join in and learn with me everything: HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Node.js, React, with 15 plus projects like Instagram, Naukri.com. We are basically going to make clones like that so that you can understand how job portals, how e-commerce sites, how streaming sites work from scratch. So at the end of the course, you will be completely job ready or ready to build anything you want, anything you like. Okay. So if you're interested, you can go ahead, check out our course and just click on enroll now and just register yourself if you're interested. Okay. Otherwise, keep enjoying the essentials. I'm always here for you. Okay, guys. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the session. Please let me know in the chat. And I'll see all of you tomorrow on the last day of HTML and CSS Essentials. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye, guys. Take care. Good night. I'll see all of you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye, guys. Good night, everyone.